Deep in the heart of South America, there lies a place that breathes. A world where water moves like veins beneath an emerald skin. Here the forest dreams, and everything within it is alive, connected, and ancient. Beneath the reflection of tangled roots and drifting leaves, a silent presence stirs. It has watched this world rise and fall for millions of years. Neither predator nor prey, but a guardian. The green anaconda, keeper of the waters, spirit of the Amazon. This is not just a story of survival. It's the story of life itself. Guardians of the Amazon. Before there was a forest, there was a sea. Tens of millions of years ago, the land that would become the Amazon was an immense basin of slow-moving water, where sediments from ancient mountains gathered like the pages of a forgotten story. When the Andes began to rise, a slow and powerful breath of the planet's spine, the direction of time itself changed. Rivers that once flowed west toward the Pacific turned their faces east, carving a new destiny across the continent. From that moment, water became the author of life. It sculpted valleys, carried nutrients, and whispered to the roots of everything that would come after. Today, those rivers still think. They do not speak with words, but through patterns, the slow pulse of currents, the swirl of mud, the rise and fall of the rain. Each stream is a thought, each drop a memory. In the Amazon, water does not simply pass. It learns, it connects, it remembers. Every morning, billions of trees exhale invisible clouds of vapor. They drift upward, merging into vast aerial rivers that travel thousands of kilometers through the sky. These flying rivers, as scientists call them, are not metaphors. They are literal highways of moisture, born from the breath of the forest itself. They bring rain to lands far beyond the jungle, feeding crops, lakes, and even distant mountain snow. The forest waters the world, and in return, the world breathes back into the forest. Beneath this infinite loop, a deeper current flows, the current of time. The rivers of the Amazon move like blood through a body too vast to comprehend. They are connected by underground channels, by lakes, by rain, and by the invisible veins of humidity that rise and fall with the sun. This is not just a network of water. It is the planet's nervous system. Each root and riverbank acts as a synapse, sending impulses of life, transmitting energy, regulating the heartbeat of the Earth. Beneath the surface, a world of silence unfolds. Particles drift like thoughts, suspended in amber. Microscopic life, algae, bacteria, invisible larvae, dances in slow spirals beneath shafts of light. Every grain of sand, every cell of plankton, has its place in this ancient orchestra. If one could listen closely enough, the forest would sound like a million tiny heartbeats underwater. And within that silence, something larger breathes. In the shadow of roots and branches, a body slides through the current with effortless grace. It does not rush. It does not fight the flow. It moves with it, part of it. The green anaconda, Unex murinus, has lived here since before history began to measure time. It is the river made flesh, the memory of water in motion. The locals call her May de Agua, the mother of waters. To scientists, she is one of the most efficient predators on Earth, but to those who live by the river, she is a spirit, a guardian, a pulse within the current. She glides through flooded forests and quiet channels, her skin reflecting the same green that shines in the leaves above. When she disappears beneath the surface, it feels as if the water itself has swallowed its own reflection. The Amazon does not think the way humans do. It does not build, it remembers. Every echo of rain, every root absorbing a drop, every leaf catching sunlight is part of a larger intelligence, one that does not need words. It's a system that has existed for millions of years, fine-tuned to a rhythm no machine could imitate. And yet, at its center, there is always silence, the deep, patient silence of the Anaconda, waiting in the dark. The river thinks, the forest breathes, and the guardian watches. All three are one. Deep beneath the surface of the Amazon's endless waterways, a shadow moves in perfect silence. Is not the hunter most fear, nor the monster that myths describe. It is patience made flesh. The green anaconda, the largest snake in the world by weight, drifts through the flooded forest like a current given shape. Her body glides without effort, each muscle ripples synchronized with the slow heartbeat of the river itself. She is both invisible and omnipresent, a ghost beneath the water's mirror. When she breathes, the jungle seems to pause, as if listening to the pulse of its oldest guardian. Her world is made of fluid boundaries, no land, no sky, only reflections of both. Here, time doesn't move forward, it circles. In this submerged labyrinth, sunlight filters through roots and branches, scattering in gold fragments that dance on her scales. The anaconda's body, thick as a man's torso and long as a canoe, blends perfectly into the shadows of submerged logs. Fish scatter as she moves, unaware that she is there until it's too late. Her nostrils break the surface with barely a ripple, her tongue flicking to taste invisible scents carried by the current. She feels vibrations long before her eyes need to see. Every wave is a story, every tremor, a message from the living forest around her. This is not a world of noise, but of intuition, an ancient symphony where hearing is done through the skin. Evolution shaped her into a masterpiece of stealth. Her eyes, positioned high on her head, allow her to watch while remaining almost entirely submerged. Her scales, glossy and dark green with circular markings, mimic the dappled light of the river's surface. The effect is perfection, a living camouflage that fools even the sharpest predators. Yet she fears none. Few creatures dare challenge her domain. Piranhas avoid the shadow of her coils. Even caimans hesitate when the water grows too still. She is the calm that precedes every movement. For the people who live along the riverbanks, the anaconda is more than an animal. They call her Encantada, the spirit of the deep. In their stories, she guards the entrances to underwater worlds, leading the souls of the drowned back to the earth's womb. When fishermen vanish beneath the current, it is said that she has called them home. Myths describe her as both a protector and a test, a reminder that nature gives and takes with the same gentle hand. The elders speak of her eyes as ancient mirrors, reflecting the truth of all living things. To scientists, she is a marvel of biology. Her body, capable of exceeding 8 meters in length, is built for ambush rather than pursuit. She waits in perfect stillness, conserving energy, allowing life itself to come to her. When prey wanders too close, a capybara, a caiman, even a stray bird, the strike is silent and precise. She coils, tightening not out of rage, but necessity, cutting off the rhythm of another heartbeat to sustain her own. The act is neither cruel nor violent, is simply the law of the forest written in muscle and instinct. After the hunt, she disappears again into the depths, unseen for weeks. Her digestion is slow, meditative, and complete. Every bone dissolved, every nutrient returned to the cycle. Nothing in the Amazon is wasted. Even in stillness, she is part of the ecosystem's motion, regulating populations, feeding scavengers, giving life through death. When she rests under the shade of water lilies, small fish gather near her massive coils, using her body as shelter. Life feeds on life, but it also finds safety in its shadows. The flood season transforms her world. Forests vanish under meters of rising water, and the anaconda becomes a traveler between dimensions. She slides through submerged branches, weaving among tree trunks where monkeys once played. In this underwater forest, she is a ribbon of pure intention, moving with grace that no storm can disturb. The world above forgets her, but below, she rules a silent kingdom. When the dry season returns, the water retreats, and the serpent follows the shrinking rivers back to their sources. Pools of mud become traps for the unprepared, but she knows every path, every hidden channel. Her body carries the memory of centuries, the map of the forest written in muscle. She returns to deeper waters, to the same places her ancestors did, guided not by sight or smell, but by something older, the magnetic rhythm of the earth itself. Sometimes she emerges from the water to bask on warm stones. Her body, glistening in the sun, seems sculpted from bronze and emerald. Steam rises as droplets evaporate, creating a halo of mist around her. Birds watch from branches, but do not approach. Even at rest, her presence commands silence. The forest acknowledges her with reverence. In the cycle of the Amazon, she is not a villain nor a hero. She is balance incarnate, a living symbol of the rainforest's ancient wisdom. The green anaconda is the memory of the river, the embodiment of patience, and the proof that power can exist without chaos. Her story is not one of conquest, but of coexistence. Beneath every ripple, every breath of mist, her legacy endures, the silent giant, watching, remembering, and forever becoming the water itself. The forest breathes through countless voices, and among them rise the creatures that share the anaconda's world. Capybaras graze near the banks, always alert for the silent current that could mean their end. Herons stand motionless, eyes fixed on the water, hunting with patience that mirrors the serpent's own. The Amazon is not a place of fear, but of awareness. Every life here is tied to another through the invisible thread of necessity. Even the smallest frog or dragonfly plays its part in maintaining this immense balance. The river carries nutrients from decaying leaves, feeding plankton that sustain fish, which in turn feed the hunters above. Nothing stands alone. The anaconda is not an exception. She is the bridge between water and land, between death and renewal. As the sun dips behind the canopy, the rainforest shifts into its nocturnal rhythm. Light fades and sound takes its place. Cicadas and frogs form an orchestra of pulse and echo. The air thickens with humidity, and every breath feels alive. Somewhere in the darkness, the anaconda stirs again. Night is her element. The dim reflections of moonlight ripple across her scales as she glides beneath the floating mats of vegetation. She moves with deliberate grace, sensing vibrations that no eye could perceive. Each movement seems rehearsed by the earth itself. Her presence alters the tempo of the river. Even the fish seem to slow their pace. The night belongs to her, the silent queen of an unseen world. In these hours of darkness, countless dramas unfold. Tiny insects hatch and rise from the surface like dust made of stars. Bats swoop low, hunting the swarms that bloom above the river. Electric eels pulse invisible lightning into the depths. Life here glows, hums, and flows as if the universe condensed into this single stretch of water. The anaconda, however, remains still beneath it all, an ancient observer watching the constellations of bioluminescence dance above her. To witness the Amazon at night is to see the planet dreaming, every sound and flicker a heartbeat in the chest of creation. When dawn returns, the fog hangs thick over the water, and the forest glows pale green under the newborn light. Drops slide down from the canopy like veins of glass. Parrots and macaws announce the day with bursts of color and sound. The anaconda surfaces briefly, only her nostrils and eyes breaking through the mist. The world feels suspended between dream and awakening. She inhales the humid air, filling her lungs with the scent of earth and rain. Then, without a sound, she sinks again into the depths, her body vanishing into the reflection of the sky. She does not chase the light. She waits for it to reach her. In this rhythm of emergence and retreat, she mirrors the forest's own breathing. Beneath her domain, an entire civilization thrives unseen. Schools of fish weave through submerged roots, their silver bodies flashing like liquid mirrors. Freshwater stingrays glide across the sediment, their wings stirring clouds of dust that settle again like whispers. Small turtles drift with the current, carried by forces far older than themselves. Every layer of this underwater world tells a story of adaptation. Some creatures borrow colors from the mud, others glow faintly in the dark. The river hides a complexity that rivals any city, a living architecture built for motion and decay. The anaconda moves among them not as a ruler, but as a reminder that silence itself sustains life. As months pass, the forest begins to change again. Rain falls with heavier rhythm, thunder echoing through the distant mountains. The rivers swell and merge, flooding the plains. The anaconda's territory expands beyond sight. What once was ground becomes ocean, and the trees transform into pillars rising from a liquid sky. She navigates this new world with ease, her movement as inevitable as gravity. For creatures less attuned, the flood is chaos, but for her it is memory. Each surge of water recalls the cycles that have shaped this land since before humans began to measure time. She glides between the roots of giant trees that stand like sentinels over the submerged forest, her shadow blending into their reflections. In these flooded months, the Amazon becomes a mirror of the cosmos. The sky above and the river below are indistinguishable. Clouds drift through their reflections, and stars seem to shimmer in the water's surface. The forest's heartbeat slows. Here, everything is connected: light and darkness, air and water, predator and prey. The anaconda's body becomes a thread that stitches these realms together. In her movement, the boundaries dissolve, the jungle ceases to be a place, and becomes a state of being. For those who have seen her glide through the water under moonlight, it is clear that she is not simply surviving, she is remembering what the earth once was. To understand her is to understand the Amazon itself. The forest is not only a habitat, it is consciousness expressed in roots, wings, and scales. Every rustle, every ripple, is part of a greater awareness that transcends language. The anaconda is its messenger, a living neuron in the brain of the planet. Her stillness is thought, her motion memory. Through her, the river contemplates itself. She carries no malice, no ambition, no separation between being and becoming. This is what makes her sacred, the absolute unity between predator, environment, and purpose. During rare encounters, when humans catch a glimpse of her immense form, fear often follows wonder. Cameras rise, stories spread, and myths are reborn. Yet, the truth is quieter. The anaconda does not attack without reason, she defends balance. She embodies the ancient rule that every life taken is returned to life again. To harm her is to disturb something deeper than flesh, a rhythm that sustains the very air. Scientists who track her movements know this instinctively. Her disappearance from one region often signals an ecological shift. Where the guardian retreats, imbalance begins. As night falls once more, her silhouette slips beneath the surface, merging with the darkness she commands. The river swallows her whole, but her presence lingers in the stillness that follows. The forest exhales. The insects resume their endless song. And somewhere, in the heart of the Amazon, the silent giant rests once again, holding within her the memory of every drop, every breath, every life that has ever passed through these waters. Above the canopy, the world burns with light. But below, where the sun dissolves into shadow, another kingdom thrives. This is the heart of the flooded forest, a world neither land nor sea, built upon the rhythm of transformation. The trees stretch downward as much as they do upward, their roots twisting into the riverbed like veins in the body of the earth. Every movement of the current is a pulse, every shimmer of fish beneath the surface a spark of energy within a living organism. Here, water is not an element, it is consciousness itself, shaping and reshaping the forms of life. The anaconda moves through this fluid maze like a thought drifting through memory, unseen yet essential. She knows every turn, every hidden passage. She is not lost within the forest is within her. When she passes through the submerged roots, even the light seems to hesitate. Shafts of gold pierce the green gloom, scattering into patterns that ripple across her scales. Tiny shrimp and insect larvae drift in the water, like dust suspended in sunlight. For a moment, time dissolves. The Amazon's eternal present consumes all past and future. The serpent's presence anchors this timelessness. She glides with the patience of something that has never needed to hurry. The current wraps around her body like a veil. In this underwater cathedral, silence reigns, broken only by the murmur of bubbles rising to the surface. To witness her here is to glimpse the mind of the planet in motion, steady, graceful, without desire. As the seasons shift, the Anaconda prepares for renewal. The rains calm, and the waters begin to retreat. Islands reappear, and sunlight pierces deeper through the thinning canopy. Life begins to reorganize itself. Frogs emerge from burrows to call for mates. Birds weave nests high above the flooded plain. On muddy banks, the Anaconda chooses a secluded patch of reeds. Her body coils into the shape of a spiral, an ancient symbol of life's continuity. For weeks she remains there, absorbing warmth from the sun, conserving her strength. Beneath her, eggs grow within the safety of her coils. The rhythm of her heartbeat synchronizes with the pulse of the forest. The creation of new life happens in silence. When the young anacondas are finally born, they do not crawl, they swim. Dozens of miniature serpents, perfect replicas of their mother, slip into the water and vanish among the reeds. They receive no guidance, no teaching. Instinct carries them. They are born with the memory of the river coded within their muscles. Some will be taken by birds or fish, yet others will grow to inherit their mother's vast dominion. Through them, her legacy spreads invisibly across the basin. Each new life adds another note to the Amazon's endless song. This is how immortality exists here, not through permanence, but through perfect repetition. As the dry season settles, the rivers shrink into silver threads winding through the green expanse. The heat thickens, and the air hums with anticipation. The forest changes its color, its scent, even its voice. Leaves curl to conserve moisture. Monkeys cry out across the distance, their calls echoing over the parched earth. But beneath the ground, in the deep channels where water still flows, the anaconda remains. She slows her heart, conserves her breath, and becomes one with the mud. Her metabolism sinks into near stillness. In this suspended state, she can wait for weeks, even months. To her, time is only another current, something to drift through rather than escape. She does not endure the dry season, she becomes part of it. Above her, storms begin to gather once again. The first drops fall like promises onto the cracked soil. Then the deluge returns. Rain drums against the leaves, thunder rolls over the horizon, and the forest exhales in relief. The rivers swell, and the world resets. The anaconda stirs from her trance, drawn by the rhythm of returning life. She rises through the muddy water, breaking the surface just as lightning splits the sky. Her emerald body catches the flashes of light, turning her into a living reflection of the storm. Around her, frogs sing their chorus of rebirth. It is not simply a season returning, it is the earth remembering itself through her. The new floods bring with them not only abundance, but also danger. Human settlements have grown along the rivers, their boats slicing through once untouched waters. The hum of engines now mingles with the call of herons and the hum of cicadas. The balance shifts. Fish flee from oil-slicked surfaces. Trees fall under axes that echo like thunder. Yet even as the world changes, the anaconda endures. She adapts as the river adapts, finding new currents, new silence. Her presence is a reminder of what remains beyond control, the resilience of the natural order, the pulse that persists beneath noise and progress. Deep in the flooded forest, she encounters her reflection distorted by ripples, a reminder that even perfection can fracture. Around her, plastic bottles drift among fallen leaves, an alien intrusion into the purity of the ecosystem. Still, she moves undisturbed, her path ancient and exact. The jungle does not judge, it absorbs. Every scar, every disruption, becomes part of its long memory. The anaconda's scales shimmer faintly under the sun, filtering through the water. She moves forward, carrying the weight of an entire world's mistakes, yet untouched by guilt. Her survival is not defiance, it is continuity. When the moon rises full over the river, the jungle falls into reverent quiet. The water glows silver, and mist crawls along the surface like breath. In that silence, one could imagine hearing the forest think. Somewhere beneath that luminous calm, the anaconda rests once more, her coils blending into the reflection of the sky. Above her, stars shimmer in both heaven and water, indistinguishable. The great serpent sleeps, but the river does not. It carries her story onward, a story without beginning or end. Only motion, only balance, only the unbroken whisper of the living earth. Far from the riverbanks, where the Amazon fades into mountains and mist, other guardians dwell in the shadows of green. Among the roots of ancient trees, smaller serpents echo the anaconda's purpose, different forms of the same eternal rhythm. The boa constrictor, silent and deliberate, drapes itself across low branches, blending with the bark. Its patience rivals that of the anaconda, but its world is vertical, suspended between earth and sky. Each movement is slow, calculating, measured in the language of stillness. When the wind brushes the leaves, it sways as if the tree itself were breathing. The forest doesn't notice the difference because there is none. Every scale, every movement is part of its pulse. High above, sunlight filters through cracks in the canopy, painting the boa's body in fragments of gold. It waits, unseen, its muscles a coiled spring of quiet precision. A bird lands nearby, unaware of the shadow that stretches behind it. The strike is not an explosion, but an inevitability. In one motion, the forest reclaims what it gave. The boa's grip tightens, not in anger, but in completion. Death here is only another name for transformation. As the forest absorbs the echo of the moment, insects resume their chorus, and life continues, unbroken, perfect, and unchanged. The boa shares this vast kingdom with countless serpents of every color and size. Some live beneath the leaf litter, invisible architects of balance. Others, like the vine snake, disguise themselves in plain sight, slender and green as the branches they rest upon. Their existence is proof that evolution is not competition, but harmony. Each species finds its own way to survive, guided by the same unwritten principle, the rhythm of coexistence. In the Amazon, beauty and danger are the same language spoken through different tones. To fear one is to misunderstand both. As dusk falls, the forest takes on a new identity. The air cools and mist curls around the roots like smoke from an ancient altar. In this sacred hour, serpents become shadows, and shadows become alive. Bats flutter through the darkness, frogs sing their rhythmic chants, and the night once again belongs to the unseen. It is here, beneath the cover of darkness, that the Amazon's guardians renew their vows of silence. Each serpent, from the smallest coral snake to the colossal anaconda, holds its place within the great equilibrium. They are not hunters or victims. They are instruments of the same symphony, the unseen caretakers of balance. For centuries, the people of the forest have watched these creatures with awe. To them, snakes are not symbols of evil, but of knowledge, fertility, and rebirth. The shamans tell of Yub, the serpent spirit who bridges worlds, the river of stars above and the river of life below. They say that when a shaman drinks the sacred brew and closes his eyes, the serpent carries his soul through the veins of the earth, showing him the truth of all things. The anaconda, in their vision, is the mother of creation itself, her body forming the rivers that give birth to the forest. These are not myths of fear, but of belonging. Humanity and serpent share the same blood, the same dream of survival. Deep within tribal rituals, the serpent appears painted on skin and carved into wood. Her image coils around drums, masks, and the walls of ceremonial huts. The songs that accompany these rituals speak not of conquest, but of communion. To dance in the pattern of the serpent is to remember the flow of the river, to move as life moves, without resistance. The elders say the forest listens to those who listen to it, and the serpent teaches that listening is done with the soul, not the ears. Scientists, too, have come to see the serpent differently. Their research reveals the same truth the tribes have known for centuries. Snakes are vital to the health of the ecosystem. By regulating populations of rodents and birds, they prevent imbalances that could collapse entire food webs. Their presence is the measure of the forest's health. Where serpents thrive, the jungle breathes in harmony. Yet, as deforestation advances and pollution spreads, their numbers fade. The silence grows heavier each year. It is not only species that are dying, it is the language of balance itself being forgotten. The serpent's wisdom lies in invisibility. It does not demand recognition, only space to exist. It teaches that power is not noise, but presence. In a world consumed by speed and noise, it stands as the quietest form of authority. Every movement it makes is deliberate, every pause meaningful. The Amazon serpents have mastered the art humanity has forgotten, to to move with, not against, the current of life. Perhaps that is why they endure when all else fails. They do not fight the flood, they become it. Somewhere deep in the forest, a storm gathers again. Lightning flashes across the horizon, reflected in the serpent's eyes. For a moment, the entire jungle seems to awaken, illuminated from within. The rain begins to fall, heavy and rhythmic, washing over roots, rocks, and scales alike. It is the same rain that has fallen for millions of years, the same water that once shaped the mountains and carved the rivers. The serpent lifts her head to the sky, feeling the droplets trace her body. There is no fear in her gaze, only recognition. The storm is not an ending, but a renewal. And so the cycle continues. Water becomes river, river becomes forest, and the forest becomes life. The serpent glides through it all, unchanged, unbroken, eternal. She is the beginning and the return, the breath between creation and decay. In her eyes, the Amazon does not simply exist, it endures. The guardian remains, silent and patient, watching the forest remember itself once more. Morning returns slowly over the canopy. Light seeps through the mist like liquid gold, dripping from the leaves into the still water below. The forest stretches and exhales, waking in layers, the insects first, then the birds, then the whispers of distant monkeys echoing through the trees. Beneath this awakening world, the serpent stirs again. Her body, still cool from the night, absorbs the warmth of the rising sun. It glides across her scales like molten bronze, recharging a creature as ancient as the rivers that cradle her. She moves not out of hunger, but out of instinct, a continuation of motion, as if her journey has no destination, only purpose. Around her, life unfolds in silence. A blue morpho butterfly drifts through a beam of light, its wings scattering color into the shadows. Tiny frogs cling to leaves, their translucent skin glowing with dew. Every detail, from the hum of mosquitoes to the groan of shifting branches, contributes to the great heartbeat of the Amazon. The serpent senses it all through the ground and the water. Her tongue flicks, reading the invisible map of scents that weave through the air. To her, this forest is not a maze, but memory, a familiar dream she has never needed to wake from. The deeper she moves into the wetlands, the more the jungle transforms. The floor becomes a mirror of sky, the air thick with the fragrance of decay and rebirth. Here, the trees grow roots like hands, reaching down to hold the earth in place. Among them, countless creatures thrive unseen, armored fish, hidden frogs, and eels that flash like lightning beneath the surface. Every drop of water hums with energy, every ripple carries life. The serpent slides between these living currents like an extension of the river's own will. She is not separate from this world, she is its echo. Far above, the calls of macaws split the silence, bright and piercing. They travel in pairs, their crimson and gold wings painting streaks across the emerald sky. Their cries announce both warning and celebration, the constant reminder that survival here is never passive. Even the birds depend on the river, dropping seeds that will one day rise into the canopy that shelters them. Life supports life in an endless exchange. The serpent watches their flight with eyes that have seen countless generations of wings come and go. She does not envy them. Her kingdom is below, where time moves slower and peace hides within patience. As midday arrives, the humidity thickens into a living curtain. Steam rises from the forest floor, blurring the lines between land and air. The serpent retreats into deeper pools where the temperature cools. She coils herself between submerged branches, becoming indistinguishable from her surroundings. Fish brush against her scales without fear, unaware that the stillness they trust hides one of nature's most formidable designs. But she does not strike. Hunger is not constant, it comes and goes like the tide. For now, she is content to wait. Her breathing slows, her heart beats in rhythm with the gentle current. She becomes invisible even to herself, dissolved into the water's calm. Time in the Amazon has no measure. Hours fade into the hum of cicadas and the distant roll of thunder. Storm clouds build above the forest, their shadows stretching across the river. The first drops fall, soft as whispers, then stronger, heavier, until the world becomes a curtain of rain. The sound is deafening yet soothing, a cleansing of every surface, every soul. Beneath this downpour, the serpent remains unmoved, her head lifted slightly above the current. The rain drums on her body, like a heartbeat amplified. The river swells, and she rises with it, floating upward until her reflection meets her gaze. In that moment, sky and water are one. The flood spreads quickly, swallowing paths and roots alike. Creatures scramble for higher ground, but the serpent moves with effortless grace. She belongs to both worlds, and so she fears neither. Her body glides over submerged branches, her scales shimmering beneath the diffused light. Where others see destruction, she senses rebirth. The forest is not drowning, it is remembering its oldest form. Each flood renews the soil, each current carries seeds and life across vast distances. The serpent's journey becomes the vehicle of regeneration. Her passage, unseen, helps shape the next generation of the jungle. In the stillness that follows the storm, the forest seems to hold its breath. Steam rises again, and from the silence comes the faint call of frogs, the buzz of insects, and the distant croak of herons. The serpent drifts near the surface, her movements barely visible beneath the floating debris. She senses vibrations, small fish darting, a bird landing, the tremor of life reassembling itself. The water that once fell from the heavens now carries the forest within it. To her, this is not chaos, but order, the eternal rhythm that sustains everything. As twilight descends, the world begins to glow. Fireflies flicker like stars scattered through the mist. The sky bleeds into shades of purple and gold, reflected perfectly in the still water. It is in these hours between light and darkness that the Amazon reveals its truest beauty. The serpent glides through this dreamlike world as if through memory. Every sound softens, every color deepens. She becomes the movement of dusk itself, a living current between day and night. The stars rise, and with them, the forest begins its nocturnal symphony. The air fills with the whispers of unseen creatures, the soft rustle of wings, and the distant howl of predators. In this chorus of darkness, the serpent disappears again, merging with the black water. Her presence can no longer be seen, only felt, a vibration beneath the calm surface. Somewhere in that darkness, life continues to breathe, unaware that it rests in the hands of the Amazon's oldest guardian. When the forest breathes, it never repeats itself. Every sunrise, every drop of rain, every movement beneath the canopy is a rebirth of something ancient. The Amazon is not a place that simply lives, it regenerates. After each flood, after every fall of a giant tree, new light pierces the darkness. Seeds buried for decades awaken, roots stretch toward the sound of thunder, and life begins again. In this constant renewal, the anaconda plays her silent part. Her journey through the flooded forest spreads life unknowingly, eggs carried by the current, nutrients stirred by her motion, paths carved for smaller creatures that follow her wake. She is both participant and catalyst in the Earth's endless cycle of transformation. When the waters recede, she seeks the shallow lagoons left behind, her body weaving through channels that gleam under the afternoon sun. Around her, the forest hums with resurrection. Frogs call to one another in a chorus of hope. Butterflies, newly emerged from their cocoons, scatter like fragments of light. The air smells of mud, fruit, and ozone. Each sound and scent is part of a rhythm older than memory, a rhythm that has shaped every living thing here. In these moments, the serpent's stillness feels like reverence. She waits, unhurried, for the world to settle back into itself. Beneath the roots, 1,000 small creatures continue the work of rebirth. Termites rebuild fallen trunks into towers of soil. Ants clear the forest floor, dragging away fragments of decay to feed hidden gardens of fungi. Even the smallest lives are architects of resurrection. And in the silence between their labor, the river whispers through the channels like a voice remembering its own story. The anaconda rests in that silence, her breath blending with the pulse of the land. She has seen these cycles countless times. To her, there is no end, only continuation, only renewal in another form. The return of the rains signals another beginning. Clouds rise from the forest itself, born of the tree's breath and carried by invisible winds. They drift across the sky, condensing, merging, and finally falling again as rain. The forest creates its own weather. It is both cause and effect of its existence. In this infinite loop, even the serpent is a cloud made flesh, a body that cycles through water, heat, and rest, endlessly redefined. As she slides into the deep current once more, droplets cling to her scales like memories, catching the light before dissolving back into the flow. She leaves no trace, yet her presence is everywhere. In the shallows, life begins its delicate rituals. Birds weave nests from reeds. Fish lay eggs in safety of flooded roots. The anaconda moves among them with unspoken care, neither predator nor savior, but witness. Her body disturbs the surface just enough to remind the river that movement is the essence of life. Above, the forest trembles with the sound of wind and wings. Below, roots and stones hum with quiet energy. Together, they form a symphony of renewal. The serpent's glide becomes a verse in that song, a hymn to impermanence and the beauty of repetition. On the banks, human villages rise and fall with the seasons. The people know the rhythm as intimately as the serpent does. They plant when the rains retreat, fish when the rivers swell, and rest when the water consumes the earth. Their lives, too, are guided by the pulse of the forest. In their stories, the anaconda remains a sacred teacher. They say she reminds them that all things must return to the water, that what is given must one day be reclaimed. When they carve her image into wood or paint her coiled form on the walls of their homes is not worship, but remembrance. To live here is to belong to the same circle. Time passes differently in the Amazon. A single season can stretch into eternity or vanish like a passing shadow. Trees older than civilization fall and return to the soil that birthed them. Rivers change course without warning, erasing what was and creating anew. The serpent understands this better than any creature. Her body carries no scars of the past, for the past itself dissolves within her. Each shed skin is a shedding of time, a renewal of being. When she leaves it behind on the riverbank, the forest reclaims it, ants, beetles, and worms transforming it into earth once more. Nothing is lost. Everything becomes something else. In the heart of this infinite cycle, even decay becomes sacred. The fallen tree feeds the fungus that nourishes the roots of a new one. The death of a bird becomes the life of 1,000 insects. The serpent's meal feeds her body, and through her the soil. There is no cruelty in this system, only transformation. Life and death are the same breath inhaled and exhaled by the forest. The Amazon teaches this truth with every drop of rain and every heartbeat beneath the water. The anaconda, its silent prophet, carries that lesson in her gaze. As twilight descends, the world glows with renewal. The forest, still damp from the day's storms, shimmers like glass under the last light. The serpent rises to the surface once more, her scales reflecting the fading sun. Around her, the air hums with insects, each sound a testament to survival. She breathes deeply, as if drawing in the entire rainforest. In her stillness lies a peace that no storm can disturb. The river moves, the stars emerge, and the cycle begins again, an eternal rhythm played in silence. The Amazon endures because it remembers. Every leaf, every creature, every drop of water carries the memory of what came before. In that memory, life continues unbroken. The serpent remains its guardian and reflection, a living symbol of the forest's infinite return. As long as the rivers flow and the trees breathe, she will glide through their heart, unseen yet eternal. And long after human voices fade from its shores, the forest will whisper her name in the language of rain. If you've made it this far, you've already felt it, the pulse of a living world that still breathes beyond our noise. The Amazon doesn't ask for much, just to be seen, remembered, and protected. If this journey moved you, take a moment to rekindle it. Share with someone who needs to feel this peace, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story that awaits us beneath the treetops. Every click helps this voice of nature reach further. Thank you for watching, and until the next journey.